This is the Portuguese knotted stem stitch. It's in lots of different books. Most of them do call it the Portuguese knotted stem stitch. Some of them just call it the Portuguese stem stitch, and some just call it the Portuguese knot. It is a variation on the stem stitch. So I'm going to come up at the beginning of my line. You are going to be working on one line. And most of the books show you working this stitch vertically. You can work it horizontally. There was one book that showed that, so I will show that as well, but I'm going to start with the vertical. So I'm coming up on the line, I'm going up my line, and then I'm going to come back down, and I'm just taking a stem stitch. We've done that. You probably have done that. I'm going to go down into the fabric, come back up about halfway between where I started and where I went down. My thread is staying on the right side of the line when I'm working vertically. For left-handers, you're going to be working this stitch 180 degrees from how I'm doing it. Now, I'm going to take my needle under that stitch I just made from right to left, and I don't want to catch the fabric, I don't want to catch the thread above it. I'm coming in below where I came up on the line. And I'm going to pull that through, and I'm going to do that again right below the wrap I just did. Go under that stitch, keep the thread up here above it, and pull it up. Okay, so then I'm going to go back on my line and take the next part of my stem stitch. So it's just a stem stitch that we're wrapping around it twice each step. I'm going to go down on the line, I'm going to come back up on the line at the end of that previous stitch, so preferably the same hole or very close. Thread's on the right side of the needle, and I'm going to pull through. Now this time when I wrap, I want to get both the stitch that I just made and the end of the previous stitch. So I'm going to go under both stitches. I am not piercing the fabric or the thread, so there we go. I'm going to pull through with my first wrap, and I'm going to repeat under both of those stitches. And that one's below the previous wrap that I just did. And then I'm going to go up, take another stitch, down on the line, come back up at the end of this stitch, the end of the stem stitch. Thread was on the right side of the needle. I'm going to go under both stitches, the one I just made and the end of the previous one, from right to left. And the second wrap is below, right to left. My thread stays on the right side of my needle. I'm going to take a stitch down, come back up where that one was ended, pull up, that's my stem stitch. Under both the wrap that I just did and the previous stitch, right to left, and then right below that, right to left under both stitches again, and I'm just going to keep repeating this. Right now I'm working with a size 8 pearl cotton. The orange one that you see here was a size 5, so back down on the line, up at the end of my previous stem stitch. Thread is to the right side of the needle. Pull up. I'm going to take my needle under the stitch I just made and the end of the previous one from right to left. Pull through to wrap around those two stitches, and then right below that, repeat from right to left, pull through. And then another stem stitch, under the the two stitches, and if I wanted to work horizontal, all I'm doing is still a stem stitch. I'm working from left to right with my stem stitch. I'm keeping my thread below the needle, go down on the line, come back up at the end of the stem stitch, and then when I'm doing my wraps, I'm coming from bottom to top. So whichever way is more comfortable for you, it gets exactly the same results. And it does look more interesting with a heavier thread like a pearl cotton, but it can be worked with floss. I want that to be towards the beginning of my line, so whether you're working bottom to top, top to bottom, whatever, you still want your last wrap to be closer to the beginning of the line than the end. So if I'm working horizontally, I'm going right to left, coming up at the end of my previous stitch. My thread's below my needle or the line. I am taking my wraps under the 2 stitches of the stem stitch from bottom to top when I'm working horizontally, when I'm right-handed. The left-handed is completely opposite. And you can do tight curves with this. I think you can get even tighter than a regular stem stitch because those wraps hold it together where it wants to split when you're going around a sharp curve or a tight curve. You're just going to continue on. Okay, I've taken my last wrap stitch around my stem stitch and I'm ready to finish off because I'm about out of thread. I'm just going to take the needle down behind those wraps to the back and then finish off.